It is now August and I have some updates in the reptile room, and a lot of you are just new to the channel and others have just wanted to see all of the animals since you've last actually seen everyone, because I only do a few reptile rooms a year just so I don't like completely flood you out with reptile rooms every month, because that would kind of be a lot. But this will be the last reptile room in this house. Because I'm moving, I'm still gonna have all the reptiles. I'll still keep doing these updates, keep doing the usual videos, but it will be a change of scenery, I guess. It'll be the same animals, but a new room, new house. I might record the process of moving all the animals to the new home, because that might be kind of a pain, but we'll see about that. So this isn't too momentous, it's not that big of a deal. We can go ahead and get started with the animals I have right now. Franklin is right by my feet. If you don't know Franklin, that's the red ear slider. So we can go ahead and get started with him. Sometimes I let him move around the room whenever he wants, but he is a red ear slider. He's 11 years old. I got him in November. Calm down. So soon it'll be a year of having him, but he's really outgoing. He probably has the most personality of the animals. And although I haven't had him for that long, he is the oldest of the animals. Okay, calm down, calm down. I just recently changed his basking spot. You might have seen that video, but he's still in his usual baby pool that I got him in. And although it would be ideal for him to have more water, like I mentioned before, he'd been living in that for a decade already, so I've just kept him in that because it's what he was most comfortable in. His pool is definitely really boring right now. I've been asking for different plants and things I can add. By far, the most suggested plant was duckweed, so I'll make sure to get some duckweed soon. I'll probably wait till I'm in a new location to get the duckweed, because I'm gonna have to completely clean out that pool and empty it so that I can move it to the new house. So although his thing is really boring right now, he does have access to get around different parts of the room that I let him get to. And at the same time, he can get to his basking spot, and then he can get back into the water at night, or whenever during the day he feels like he needs some hydration or just wants to hang out in there. You might see him during the rest of the reptile room because he's always getting in the way of everything. I'm gonna let him go so he can keep moving around, but we can move on to the other animals. Here we are in a slightly different part of the room. I ran out of enclosure space on the side with the rest of the animals, so I had to move Sunny, my ball python, over on this side so that he actually fits somewhere. It's possible you saw me completely redo his enclosure. He was in a pretty boring 20-gallon long. I moved him up to a 40-gallon breeder. Hopefully this will last him the rest of his life. I'll probably have to redo plants and different things, but so far everything is still alive. It's still looking good. I'll be honest, I haven't seen any springtails. I'm not sure if I didn't get enough, or if something happened, or if I'm just not looking hard enough. So I might need to get some more of those along with isopods. But before I get him out, I want to show you, this is his first ever shed. This is from over 3 years ago, and he just actually shed today. Here's today's shed. Can't even get the whole thing in frame. And here's his first ever shed with me. So this thing is pretty big. It's kind of weird just how large he's gotten. And he's still growing, clearly, because this is a lot bigger than his last shed. I'm also going to try and upgrade him to rats soon. I just ordered those today because he's outgrown the jumbo mice, and those are the largest that the mice get. So hopefully he moves over to them, because I just spent $50 on him, but I'm sure he'll get there eventually. So here's the big boy himself. He's turning 4 in a week now. He was born August 8th, 2013. I got him December something 2013, so I got him when he was about 5 months old, and he has definitely grown a lot, but other than that, he's been doing really good. He's still eating just fine. He usually does go off feed during breeding season, but that's not a problem now because that's past. And although he's by far a really calm snake, he's also very active for a ball python, I feel, especially if you take him out. He will happily make his way around the room a couple times before he finally finds a place to sit down and rest, so he does have quite a lot of energy for a ball python, which I'm cool with. And then his 40-gallon does give him more space, especially at night when he does come out and explores. He goes all around the plants, all around the different stuff, so I'm glad I did that upgrade. If you didn't see that video, you can check it out with the card. So he is male, he's a yellow-bellied ball python, and he's the first reptile I ever actually purchased. So like I've said before, although I kept little reptiles before this that I might just go catch outside or something, he's the first snake that I ever owned, first of all, and the first one that I ever got from a reptile expo. So he's always been a highlight of the room because of that, and just because he's cool. Oh yeah, side note about him. Some people were asking how easy it is to regulate the temperatures and humidities in that enclosure, and it's actually way easier than his previous enclosure. His hotspot is right at around 90 degrees, a little bit hotter probably, It's a really hot heat mat and it's regulated with a thermostat, but it can actually make its way through that thick layer of substrate. And the humidity right now is 64%, so that's right on the spot, right where I want it. And he shed just fine today, so that tells me that it's good. And the ambient temperature is about 84 to 82 degrees. So yeah, although it is larger, I'm actually having a lot easier time regulating everything in there. Next, we're just gonna turn our way around to the other side. This is where the rest of my reptiles are. It's really dark right here. So here's my other ball python. He's a little teeny one that was rehomed to me just a couple months ago by a family that no longer wanted him. Luckily, they did care about him, so his care overall was really good. He was a bit underfed. I had to get his weight up, but he's doing pretty well now. Well, he's doing really well now. He's already shed a couple times. He's growing. He's eating. His enclosure is just fine right now. He's in a 10-gallon, which is going to be too small for sure. I'm going to upgrade him to a 20-gallon soon, and then maybe from there a 40-gallon in a few years. But somehow he still doesn't have a new name. I rename all the animals that get rehomed. So because I'm so bad at names, make sure to leave me a name and a comment. So I'll try and pick one in this video. Hopefully you leave some good names, but I'm sure you will. If I'm remembering right, he's a Yellowbellied motley ball python. So a bit like Sunny, my favorite thing is that continuous stripe from his head that almost reaches to the end and then it breaks a couple more times. So I really like how that stripe looks, and of course he has really bold colors and things, but he is still super small, still really young. He's got a lot of growing to do. He's about the size that Sunny was when I actually bought Sunny. So within a few years, we're gonna have 2 Sunny-sized ball pythons in here. But he's definitely a cute one. He's the newest animal I've got. I don't think you've really seen him in any videos, but he's been getting attention, he's been doing really well, and he is good to go for now. Right below the little ball python is Ember, the Kenyan sand boa. She is just a normal Kenyan sand boa, but I'm always obsessing over that super bold orange, along with that brown with that gradient that goes down her side. I've mentioned that a lot, but it just looks so cool. I got her in 2016 at a Repticon in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'll be honest, but luckily this is the only time I've done this. She was kind of an impulse buy. I told myself I was only getting supplies at that Repticon, but I saw the Kenyan sand boas. They were just so cute, and she was even from a rescue facility, so I felt even better doing it. But at the facility, I pulled up a care guide, got all the info I needed, made sure I already had everything, because they are a really basic snake, very easy. I already had all the supplies needed. I had a bit of trouble getting her to eat at one point, but that might have been because of breeding season, although that wouldn't really make sense because she's not of age to breed. But now she is eating just fine, and she's getting pretty fat. I have no concerns for her at this time. She's in a 10-gallon for now. They said I could keep her in a 10, but I'm sure I'll upgrade her to a 20, because every snake can use a little bit of extra space to move around. She's a very calm, easy, and slow snake. She's probably one of the smallest of the beginner snakes, because they really don't get large at all. They do get pretty fat, pretty stubby. She's got that weird little tail stub at the end, which is normal, but they're just such a weird little snake that really doesn't look like any other species, so they're really cool to have. So this 10-gallon right here belongs to the juvenile eastern box turtle. Although she doesn't mind being taken out at all, I'm going to keep her in the enclosure for now, just because I already took her out. However, I did get some pretty cute shots of her earlier. So I've had her for over a year now, and although it might be hard to tell, she's actually grown quite a bit. A year ago she weighed 8 grams, and now she weighs 12 to 13 grams. So that doesn't sound like a huge difference. Like percentage-wise, she's put on a lot of weight compared to how she was before, and she is growing. She's actually starting to round out a bit more and look more like a box turtle and less like some random slider or something. So she was so small that I was originally feeding her out of a sample pack of some sort of turtle pellet. The pellet was definitely good. It was trustable. It was a good mix. But I eventually ran out of the sample, even though it was a ton in there compared to how small she is. But I did run out, so I switched her to the Reptile box turtle food, because Reptile is probably one of the most trustable brands when it comes to different foods and supplements and stuff. It took a couple weeks to actually get her eating it completely, but now she is. I add in little mealworms and different dubias and stuff like that to add to it for some variety. The pellets are so big that I actually have to crush them up before I soak them in water for her to actually eat them. And she's already so used to people because she's just growing up with it from the very start. I think it'll be pretty cool when she's an adult. I'm sure she'll just have no issue. She doesn't seem to be shy at all. It'll be really neat, but even right now, it's really cool to have her, and she's doing great. And this 20-gallon right here is Goby, my leopard gecko. I'll get him out in just a sec. I just want to show you his enclosure real quick. He's in the same 20 gallon as usual, and I really like this setup. He really likes it. He's not a big fan of change, so when I do change things around, he might act a little bit weird. I've officially switched all of my animals over to dubias. I don't think I'll be going back to mealworms, and although I do think mealworms can still work, dubias are known to be less fatty and higher in nutrition. And I added a light before. I didn't have any lighting on him, and it is bright enough without it, just a light from the room. It's a bit darker right now because the sun is setting. Goldie might get a little grumpy on us because I did just wake him up, but here he is. He has that amazing bright yellow. He is a giant sun-glow Trimper albino patternless orange leopard gecko. I think he's got the fanciest of the morphs, but at the same time it's a pretty simple, clean, minimal look. His tail has a really cool design, but he is that patternless on his back. I got him in 2014. He was the second reptile I purchased, but he's really cool. He's not the biggest fan of being handled, but he doesn't seem to mind it when I do take him out. Like most leopard geckos, he's got that just eternal grin on his face, which always adds to the cuteness level. But I'm sure he's ready to go, so I'll put him back into his enclosure so we can get a few more minutes of rest before the lights go off and he gets active and starts eating. Right here we've got the girl Shadow. If you did not know, she actually laid eggs recently. If you want to see the full video and story on that, here's a card so you can go watch that. And to those who did know that but did not know about the result of the eggs, unfortunately I was right, and with my concern that they did not get enough moisture at first because I wasn't actually here when she laid them, since I didn't know she was gravid. So unfortunately the eggs did not make it, although they were fertile. That issue with the moisture when I wasn't here did result in them dying, so I had to get rid of those, but it was still a pretty cool experience, and hopefully I'll actually get to breed something on purpose in the future. Usually I would take her out because I'd like to take all the animals out, but she's just in one of those moods right now where she does not want to be messed with. I did just clean the enclosure earlier, so we're going to leave her in here. But even from here you can still admire that nice pattern she has going down her back, which is kind of a common rat snake trait, but it's not one that you see every day in every single rat snake. This 20 gallon is kind of an example of how you can make the cheapest enclosure possible, but at the same time still supply everything they need. And this is actually really nice because you can see just how clean that water bowl is. That smooth plastic bowl is really easy to scrub and keep clean, and if I really need to, I can always just toss it and get a new one for her. It is kind of funny because that hide is so lightweight, she can actually push it around, so she can essentially push it on top of and then push it away from that heat mat when she needs to cool down, or she can just go hang out in the plant on the other side. But I will probably stick a second little hide in there for her so she has more options. Well, I do ask about Shadow though, so here she is, still doing really well, still eating great, still growing, and good to go. I'm curious to see just how large she'll get, because some rat snakes stay this size while others get to like 7 feet, so we'll see what happens. And here's Goby right above Shadow. We're going in the most random order with these enclosures, but it's working. Goby is definitely never in a bad mood, and I've had him for quite a while. He was my second snake. He's another animal that was rehomed to me. He was probably under the worst conditions of all the animals that I've gotten rehomed. I did a video on that a while ago, like the day I got him. So it's a pretty old and sucky video, but you can still go watch that if you're interested. But people are always commenting on this really cool pattern. I believe he's a reverse Okiti corn snake, which gives him that albinism, so all of the black is removed in his case. And then you've got these really bright yellows and orange popping all the way from the belly around to the back. Actually, his belly has, you know, that Indian corn pattern that you usually see? Well, he has it, but it's more of like a grayish and orangey instead of a black and white. So I think that's pretty cool. Goby's still getting a lot fatter. I'm actually probably gonna have to move him up to jumbo mice. I'm gonna see if he'll take them and see just how large they are. He's been on adult mice, but he might outgrow them. Goby's like the one snake that doesn't mind head and face pets. You can kind of just do whatever you want with him, and he doesn't care. He's just so docile, which is surprising, seeing as he was never even touched for multiple years before I got him. But from the very start, he was all good. He is in a 20 gallon long, pretty basic setup. I'm definitely gonna at least redo that 20 gallon enclosure for now. But in the future, I would like to also move him to a 40 gallon and maybe even do another bioactive enclosure. That would be really cool to do. Right here, we've got the snapping turtle. I actually just upgraded this little turtle to this 10 gallon aquarium for now. Obviously, this little baby's gonna need something quite a bit bigger in the future. But for now, this is just enough space, and I might do a 20 gallon soon. But now she's got this nice shallow area here and it goes all the way down to the really deep end. You can see she's hiding, he or she, I don't know, is hiding behind the filter, and I do need to get more stuff in here to help it feel more comfortable. I'm definitely gonna get some plants, like probably the duckweed that we talked about before. Maybe something like lucky bamboo could be cool in here. I don't know if that's safe, I'll look into that. Feel free to suggest more turtle safe plants, but since I've had it, it's been doing really well. It's really hard to tell how much is actually growing. I need to start keeping track of the weights better, but she's been eating. She's primarily eating just aquatic turtle food along with shrimp, turtle pellet shrimp or whatever it's called. And then I can toss in some dubious and mealworms in there. So very simplistic setup. Definitely needs more in the future, but the turtle itself is doing really well. It really seems comfortable. At first it was kind of more on edge, which was expected for maybe a couple weeks or so. But now it'll poke its head up out of the water and hang out. It's got its UVB, and then it's heating up there, so the full light spectrum it needs along with that heating. But still, it's a really cool turtle, not only as a baby, but it'll be pretty neat as it gets larger. So here we are at this little 10-gallon with my 3 American toads. Now you may or may not know that I used to have 6. And there's kind of a weird story that goes along with that. I'll try and tell it real quick. I've said it before in a couple live streams. But basically, well, okay, a spoiler, super unfortunate, but I did actually lose 3 of the toads and 3 of them died. But like I said, just a couple months ago, I had 6 toads. They were all completely healthy. They were all doing really well. But then all of a sudden, the adult male, I had him for actually over 5 years. I think nearly 6 or 7 years. He had always been kind of weird. And he looked really bad one night. It was just out of nowhere. He's looking unhealthy. So I really just checked on him right before I went to sleep. And I woke up and for some reason he just randomly died. So I was pretty shocked by that. I was obviously sad about that, because especially since I've had him for so long. But I was like, okay, well maybe he was old, because I got him as an adult and I'd had him for years already. He was kind of weird anyway. Maybe something internal had happened. But then about a week later, the same happens with the second toad, and then I'm kind of getting really concerned, and I'm really looking into different things. I checked on all the toads. I separated all the toads into separate things where I might be more concerned about others with their health. And then a third one died about a week later. So here's what I think happened after like weeks of trying to figure out what happened, because I hate not knowing what happened. I hate not knowing what to avoid in the future. But the thing that makes the most sense is I take the animals to festivals, which is why there's a little sign still on this. But I go to these to just, you know, spread some average reptile and amphibian awareness and do some education, get my name out there a bit more. And I took the toads along at one called BioBlitz, but some kids came back from a hike and they asked if they could touch the toads. So I was like, okay, no big deal. You can just, I watched them, of course. I said, just use maybe 1 or 2 fingers to kind of feel the warty skin. And then they went on their way. They got to see what a toad felt like. It was just a cool little quick thing. But I guess what happened is they might have picked something up on that hike. I don't know what it was, but that's the only thing that's changed, because they've been getting the same enclosure, same heating, same water treatment, same food, just same everything. That's the only thing that actually happened. So I think it was just a complete mistake on my end by letting some random kids touch a toad at a festival who might have spread some bacteria that then spread between these animals. Luckily, these 3 toads are looking just fine. I think it's been over 2 months since that actually happened. So luckily, these guys are doing fine. I separated them. I made sure they were each just with their own area and space in case one or 2 or however many had whatever it was that they picked up, so that I could save as many as possible. But luckily, these guys are they're doing fine. One is having trouble eating. I've actually been having to assist feed, but they're all good other than that. So a super weird thing to happen. Really unfortunate. Like I said, I've had these toads for longer than my longest reptile. It was over 5 years with some of these toads. But these guys, who I've had for about 3 years now, they're doing okay. They look fine. So I guess whatever happened is over, but it still really sucks. Oh, and I almost forgot. Just look at how boring this enclosure is. Honestly, I was holding off because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just hoping so badly that some of the toads would be okay. Luckily, they look like they're going to be fine. So from here, I'm going to upgrade them probably to a 20-gallon and build them their own bioactive and live planted vivarium, because that's what they used to be in. It wasn't bioactive, but that's the plan now for them. because although this technically works and they can burrow and feel safe and they got like everything they need, they could use a lot more, so that's the next plan for them. Now I can never pick favorites with my reptiles, but Olive, she is the last one in the room, and she's pretty high up there. First of all, blue-tongued skinks are just amazing. She just has so much personality, whether it's because she's energetic or active or grumpy, because she does get pretty grumpy. She's always great, she's always really fun to watch, always really fun to take out and handle. She has no problem with it. And I've had her for over 2 years now. I got her at Repticon. Now, people can never agree on whether she's an Irian Jaya or an Eastern blue-tongued skink. Don't even write it in the comments. I just don't even care. Olive is fine without knowing her exact morph. I'm mostly just saying that because you won't stop arguing about it. But no, at this point I really don't care what exact kind she is, but she is a blue-tongued skink. Olive is in a 40-gallon breeder right now, which should work out fine for her. I don't think she'll need any upgrades. You might remember I had some snake plants in there for years, but they died. I don't know why though. I was doing the exact same care for those plants as I always had been, and then all of a sudden, one week they just started to look kind of yellow. I wasn't exactly sure what to do, so I tried to water a little bit more, and then whoops, they're dead. But luckily they're just plants. They're easily replaceable. So I'll get her some new interesting things in there, so it's not so boring and she has more stuff to dig up and irritate me over. But she's definitely a good skink. And we're gonna finish it off here for today's reptile room. So that's all the animals. Overall, everything's going really well. All the animals now are doing just fine, super healthy. No issues, everyone's eating, everyone's growing. Franklin is still walking around the room. It's been like hours and he's just still has so much energy. Really the only bad news are the unfortunate 3 toads from a couple months ago, and then Shadow's eggs that didn't work out. But the eggs are okay. We can get over that, and hopefully we can breed some stuff in the future. So yeah, like I said, this is the last reptile room in this location. It'll be changing. It is August, which is VEDA again. I'm gonna try and upload daily, but it's already almost the end of August 1st. I don't know if I'm gonna have this up. If you don't know what VEDA is, I'll write more about it in the description. But yeah, that'll be it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to check out the husbandry and different things that I do on the channel with my reptiles and other animals and all sorts of things, so you might enjoy some other content I have. But that'll be it for this video. So I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.